Good morning. Woo! This morning we ring our peace bell for that lady in the harbor. And we ring our peace bowl for all the hard work that brought about this moment. We ring our peace bowl for the Navajo Nation that voted under very difficult circumstances. They are one of the worst hit areas of this pandemic. And 95% of them voted for change. I ring our peace bowl for our collective joy, which I can feel moving through cyberspace and connecting all of us today. We also open in acknowledgement of the Yavapai Nation. We acknowledge the 4 groups that make up that nation: the Wipukepas, the Tokepayas, and the Cuevkepayas, and the Yavapai. We celebrate together the coming of a new era, the dispelling of the fear that I know I have had in my heart for these 4 years, and that we have come to see that so many people of color have had that fear for much longer than that. Let us ring this bowl to dispel that fear and also to celebrate honesty, that it will be an essential value in the years ahead. Let us listen to honesty.
If you search for tenderness, mostly what I need from you.
Good morning, and welcome to Granite Peak Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Prescott, Arizona. I am Rhea Batterman, your worship associate today. We extend a warm welcome to all, and we are so glad you're able to join us and that you are in good health, and I know you have to be in good spirits today. We want to stay connected, so please join us for the breakout rooms after today's service. And this will give you time to speak with congregants in smaller groups. If you are joining us for the first time, please check out our website for more information, and that is prescottuu.org. This is the mission statement of our congregation. We are a compassionate and spiritual community that celebrates diversity, nurtures the personal and spiritual growth of all ages, shares our gifts, promotes justice for all, and serves the world we live in. We extend our thanks to all that have contributed to today's service. Heather Knowles for her technical help, she's amazing. I'll just ad-lib a little. Mary Lou Prince for her musical direction, and special music from our amazing choir that Mary Lou directs. I say so because I'm part of it. Okay, moving on. Although we were physically apart, we are still in community, and we continue with many of our meetings via Zoom. So please check out the Weekly Peak or our website and Reverend Patty's videos for announcements. Our regular Zoom meetings continue are Together Tuesday, Wednesday Forum, Wednesday afternoon, storytelling, Friday lunch with the minister. And you can find all other connections and announcements in the order of service today. If you are visiting and have small children, please contact Bev Bostrom for information about the children's faith development. If you want to see the service again and share it with others, please follow our link to the YouTube channel found in today's order of service or the GP Weekly newsletter. And for my last announcement, that's a real biggie, I want to tell you about the service auction this year. As most of you may know, we always had it in person with a big dinner and fun and all that stuff. But this year, due to our pandemic, we are doing a big Zoom live event. Sorry, I got a little ahead of myself. And the kickoff is tomorrow night at 5:30. And you could find it in also today's order of service. And I'd like to mention, it's a big fundraiser for us, and we really need the funds this year more than ever because of the pandemic. And when you check out the service auction, you're going to see some really, really cool items on there. We have vintage pieces, we have yummy baked goods and food that will be delivered, dinners to your home in person, and a whole bunch of surprises. So please tell your friends, tell your family, tell everybody you know to tune in tomorrow at 5:30, and you'll find the information how to get in touch with it in today's service, order of service. Okay, I'm done with that. Let's all take a nice deep breath. We need it today. We begin the service in the Unitarian tradition of lighting the chalice. Today's reading, I have chosen a reading that is called A Prayer for These Times, and it is by Kenneth P. Langer. Let me find the peace within so that I may be calm throughout. Let me find the silence within so that I may be compassion throughout. Let me be reminded that some things are worth waiting for. Let me be reminded that the journey is more important than reaching the destination. Let me see that non-doing is as much a part as the doing. Let me be reminded that in these moments of holding on, that I can find quietude and renewal. It is within these times of inaction that I can find rest. It is in these times of emptiness that I can become full. We light this chalice in the symbol of our heritage and gratitude for this beloved community.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Ria, for those beautiful words. I hope that all of you are feeling as I am, a lifting. Others have expressed this as a kind of cleansing. Let us revel in this moment. I know there may be confusion ahead. We are not out of the woods yet, and I don't believe we'll be out of the woods until we have some years to work on the things, all these things that we need to work on together that have been brought to our attention, and that we will need our energy for that. But for now, let us feel joy, and let us also feel our connection with other Unitarian Universalist communities all over this nation and Canada and in other places in the world. There is even a very small one in Kobe, Japan, and in Paris, France. And I believe that all of them are feeling the joy of this moment. And when we gathered together as a denomination during the week, a poem was read, a poem by Joy Harjo about eagles. She is of the Creek and Cherokee nations, and she knows the freedom of eagles. These are her words that were heard by Unitarian Universalists all over the world. To pray, you open your whole self to sky, to earth, to sun, to moon, to one whole voice that is you. And know there is more that you can't see, can't hear, can't know except in moments, steadily growing, and in languages that aren't always sound, but other circles of motion, like eagle, that Sunday morning over Salt River, circled in blue sky, in wind, swept our hearts clean with sacred wings. We see you, see ourselves, and know that we must take the utmost care and kindness in all things. Breathe in, knowing we are made of all this, and breathe, knowing we are truly blessed because we were born, and die soon within a true circle of motion, like eagle rounding out the morning inside us. We pray that it will be done in beauty, in beauty. Let us sing for that light, the light that burns in our chalice, the light that is burning bright in our hearts, the light that would not go out. Let us sing this little light of mine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up the world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up the world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up the world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
And now, as you watched our choir, and we were a little chilly, I think that was the last time we're going to sing together outside for a while. What? No, Lou's saying no. She's saying no. We're going to be searching for those warm days.
Yes.
Let us say our covenant together. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community. Thus do we covenant together. On this historic day, because we have a topic in our auction that someone, actually two people, bid on, and I had not been able to find a time to do this, I am weaving this day into the topic of comprehensive sex education. And nobody knows more about that than Marianne Erickson. Let us listen to her first.
Good morning, Granite Peak members and friends. Reverend Patty asked me to say a few words to you about comprehensive sexuality education, also known as CSE for short. CSE is comprised of medically accurate, age-appropriate instruction that, through research, has been shown to reduce adolescent pregnancy, sexual activity, and incidence of sexually transmitted infections among America's youth. Granite Peak members and friends have worked with other community health advocates to establish a county-wide coalition to promote CSE in area schools that use abstinence-only education strategies or have no sex education program at all. Granite Peak's Board of Trustees last year passed a resolution in support of life-saving medically accurate CSE. This resolution approved our membership in Yavapai Comprehensive Sexuality Education Coalition. Also approved was Granite Peak's future involvement in encouraging Yavapai County school boards to adopt CSE instruction methods within their schools on an opt-out basis. In addition, the approved resolution also reinforced our congregation's support of life-saving, medically accurate CSE for people of all ages through lifespan sexuality programs such as Our Whole Lives. One would not think that an education strategy that has been proven to be effective in reducing teen pregnancy, STIs, and delaying sexual activity would be controversial. But last year, the Speaker of the Arizona House of Representatives spoke publicly in opposition of CSE and claimed that the Arizona Superintendent of Public Instruction, Kathy Hoffman, by promoting CSE, was making a move to turn sex education into the sexualization of children. He also commented that teachers who taught CSE were likely aspiring child molesters. The new language that Kathy proposed to the Arizona education rules would ensure that when a district adopts any sex ed curriculum, that curriculum must be scientifically and medically accurate. Watch this space.
Thank you, Marianne. I think as she was speaking, I hope that you saw, as I did, many common themes of science-based knowledge and spreading truth and dispelling the fear around truth. I now invite you into our time of joys and sorrows. Our joy today is huge. So let us first ring this bell and feel that joy. Let us have that joy travel among us. We deserve this moment of joy. As you feel this change that is happening in our country, and you feel the earth beneath our feet, as we understand that one of the promises of the months ahead is rejoining the Paris Accord, let us feel the joy. Let us feel, I hope that all of us who have worked in phone banks and in all of the different ways, in speaking with friends, in bravely speaking with relatives, in all the ways that we sought to spread ideas that would dispel the fear and that would bring out a new era, a different era. For all of these things, let us feel joy and give thanks. I also want during this time, because sometimes it is easy to forget that we are in a pandemic, that so far 238,788 people have died. And each of those people left a hole in the world of many others. So let us hold those people within this time of silence. And as I begin, I invite you to say the names of those who are on your hearts and minds. Let us hold all of this country in the stretch of our arms. Please join me in a spirit of meditation and prayer. Spirit of life, we are here. We are here in joy at the change that will be occurring in this country, the change that we can feel. We give thanks for the number of Americans who stepped up to vote, who helped open the way for people to vote. For Stacey Abrams, who opened up voting to so many in the state of Georgia. We have been holding the 238,000 people who have died of COVID in this country. Let us open even further for the millions who have died around this earth. Let us hold the families of those who have died with this illness. My friend Marco in Oaxaca, who lost his father. Our lives are all touched. Our lives have been changed by this pandemic. We also hold within this circle this country so in need of healing. Let us search within each of our hearts the best way that we can bring healing, and that we can continue our fight for justice. We say these things in your many names. Amen. Please join me in the words that we sing, walking, walking with you. Walking, walking with you. Walking with you is my prayer.
Hello again. As we prepare to take the morning offering, let us embrace the feeling of connection and community when we gather each week. Let us remember that this congregation and its programs are supported by your generosity. We also give back to the greater community through our Seeds of Support program. During the month of November, the recipient is the Link Community, which it's a program that we did every year. It was a Link breakfast for the Latino Immigrant Network Coalition. And this year we are doing it as a drive-through, obviously due again to the pandemic. It will be totally revamped, and we're giving gifts and holiday cheer for approximately 20 Latina families who will be invited. And we were doing it in the parking lot. So look forward to that and check out more about it in today's program as well. This link is also available in the chat. And to give anything during this time, please go to prescottuu.org. On the bottom of the left-hand side, click the word donate to contribute. And I think that's about it. So now please enjoy the musical interlude.
This is an historic moment. The times are changing, and it is good to consider how change connects us with the greater world. It is the changes we experience in our own lives that connect us with the people around us. And the world has been watching. From Australia to Japan, to Malaysia, to Argentina, to Mexico. The world has been watching. And the world is taking, as we are, a great big sigh of relief. Here is the wind of change, a song that helps us remember the other times when the world was holding its breath.
When you look at it from up here, you get an appreciation of our world is a beautiful place and we do need to take care of it.
During these months leading up to the events of this past week, more than any other time I can remember, I have been struck by the need for trustworthy facts. In this moment, we are challenged by the deluge of fake or slanted news on both sides. When evidence-based knowledge would not only improve our personal lives and interactions with others, it would make us better citizens and informed voters. It would have saved our country from the devastation of COVID-19. I have wondered about how these trustworthy facts could be disseminated. How could facts based on evidence that would shine light on the world around us lay the groundwork for the decisions that are made by the citizens of a nation and their leaders? How can these facts, historical and scientific, become the basis of decisions? These questions in our hearts right now were at the heart of the work that Unitarian Universalism began in 1971, when in a UU World newspaper, they asked our membership these questions. What would you want in a course on human sexuality if you were going to design one for your own children or church school? Answers to those questions led Unitarian Universalists to pioneer a new sexuality education course for youth, About Your Sexuality, AYS, and then later the Our Whole Lives program. Unitarian Universalist congregations are recognized as leaders in sexuality education, and these programs continue to shift and change with new understandings of sexuality and gender in the world. Can you remember a time when you didn't know where babies came from? One of my first theories when I was 3 years old and had watched my mother's tummy grow and then my little brother appear in her arms was that females were born with tiny babies inside them. And when the baby was ready to enter the world, they would grow and grow and become so big that they had to be taken out by somebody in a hospital. I remember explaining this theory to my mother, who listened carefully to me. And then she said, "Patty, that is very interesting." And then she made a kind of thinking noise like, which made me think that I wasn't quite there with the right answer yet. So I went back to the drawing board to try to figure it out. I was fascinated looking at women who were pregnant, who I was not supposed to even use the word pregnant with. I was supposed to say the women who were expecting. I was given dolls to play with, one named Betsy, who received a dress just like mine when my mother made one for me. I was supposed to play mommy, but not know how human beings replicated themselves. But when I was in 4th grade, one of my school friends found a magazine that had information. We sat together, speaking very softly, sitting together in the dusty schoolyard, and we worked our way through the article, where I learned some sketchy information about the involvement of men in the process. That afternoon, I learned my first word for intercourse, rape. By the time I was entering my late teens, by which time I did know the correct words and what was what, but I did not know anything about birth control except the adage, the best birth control is self-control, which my father would say about the woman who continued to have children in our congregation. And she said, the Lord will stop the babies when I'm not supposed to have any more. I was told to practice abstinence until the day I married. And by that time, comprehensive sexuality was being taught in Unitarian Universalist congregations, which is probably why my parents warned me about the people who attended services in that sweet old UU building in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Instead of resisting the winds of change brought by the women's movement, as other denominations such as mine were, Unitarian Universalists were calling themselves to understand the world in a new way. In the book Drawdown, that outlines what we need to do to reverse climate change, number 7 in importance is family planning. Number 6 is educating girls. 214 million women in lower income countries say they want the ability to choose whether and when they become pregnant. Do you know that in our own country, 45% of pregnancies are unintended? And contrary to my own middle-class family, a surprise birth, such as my little brother's, can be not a blessing in disguise as it was for us, but it plunges many people deeper into poverty or tears women away from their dreams of education and autonomy. And in this state, comprehensive sex education continues to be controversial. As Marianne Erickson so clearly explained in the beginning of our service, this knowledge has incited fear-mongering. It's seen as frightening and leading to pedophilia, rather than the truth that it helps protect children and youth from predators by giving them knowledge and a way to say no. The fear of this knowledge about our bodies has given many an excuse to abandon public education for religious schools where abstention is taught and where LGBTQ youth are told that they must change, which often leads to suicide. And it is fitting that 2 faith organizations, Unitarian Universalism and the United Church of Christ, have been leading this educational effort because in the past, religions have been at the forefront of causing harm by teaching children and youth to cut themselves off from their sexualities. And instead of messages of wholeness, they have propagated messages of shame. And this knowledge that we have been gathering as a denomination, It has become the foundation of justice work, work that has caused us to stand by LGBTQ people all over the world, such as trans people when they are treated badly in prisons and detention centers and barred from employment. Our radical welcome does not come out of a warm, fuzzy feeling. It comes out of knowledge, understanding the experience of LGBTQ people. Because grounded in knowledge, we can say, don't believe that fake news about LGBTQ people. We call people to see in a new way. This is the work of a community of faith. I wonder how many of you have felt fear in the past months, in the past years. I was remembering 4 years ago and the fear that began to sit in my heart. And I wonder, how do we dispel the fear of others? The fear of that woman who I will talk with you about later, who encountered Marianne Erickson. But how do we dispel the fear of people in our community who look at our Black Lives Matter sign and think something like we must have horns? How do we dispel the fear-mongering around immigrant justice, around Black Lives Matter, around our fight for climate justice? And how do we dispel our own fears about the people in this community who do things differently than we do? In Salt Lake City, we dispelled fear with singing and writing music. Mary Lou created an LDS Unitarian Universalist choir. And on the night of the election 4 years ago, Mary Lou and I attended a rehearsal at a Mormon church. Singing together, we felt our fears dissolve. During rehearsals, we learned about each other. The soprano who sat next to me was concerned about her daughter who was struggling with breast cancer. She knew about my sister-in-law who was struggling with breast cancer. And over a 3-year period, we built relationships and we sang concerts on Temple Square and in UU sanctuaries. I wonder what that would look like here. We were starting to gather more people together for a big concert, but then the pandemic. And Marianne Erickson has a wonderful story about dispelling some misunderstanding based, I believe, in fear in Yavapai County. In the summer of 2017, she wrote, I wore my I Stand with Planned Parenthood t-shirt, carried a sign with the same message, and gave out paper requests to the hundreds of people attending a local election forum at Yavapai College. The message urged them to call Senators McCain and Flake that night to stop the ACA law changes that would eliminate many reproductive health care requirements, including contraceptives, the HPV vaccine that had greatly aided women of color in preventing unaffordable pregnancies and cervical cancer. And on the steps of the Yavapai Performing Arts Center, where I was standing, a pro-life woman approached me to say that she was opposed to anything Planned Parenthood was supporting. I told her I had begun volunteering for Planned Parenthood 35 years earlier because they offered cancer screening, STI testing, and contraceptive services for women who had no other available health care. I then explained why it was important to oppose this so-called skinny repeal because of the planned elimination of coverage for contraceptives, cancer screening, STI testing, and HPV vaccine. I also explained that I did not approve of abortion as a means of contraception because prevention of pregnancy was the best, cheapest, and safest way to control family size and minimize unaffordable pregnancies. She took my paper message and went inside, where I met her later. She then said that she loved me and appreciated why I was working to get the skinny repeal stopped. That was the night that John McCain gave a thumbs down to the skinny repeal and stopped its passage. This is the work that we must do every day. In this election, we have also learned the power of one voice, one vote. Thank you, Marianne. I believe that there are endless possibilities for that kind of friendship in this city, because relationships are one of the only things that can dispel fear. I felt this on Monday morning when I had a long conversation with Prescott Police Chief Black about her perspective on what happened on the square in early September, and about what the police department was doing to prepare for the frightening scenarios that were in social media about what might happen during this election. I saw the role of fear and misinformation that rallied those gun-toting people who were counter demonstrators on that awful day. And during lunch with the minister this past week, we've been talking about how to create opportunities to exchange ideas and dispel the misunderstandings that are creating fear, that create the fear within us, and that are spreading fear about people like us in the rest of the community. We wonder about showing up at the square each week and talking with people, asking and answering not the old questions, but fresh questions. Some possibilities are, what is your fear? What are your needs? What does the flag mean to you? What is so frightening about health care for all? What do you think Black Lives Matter means? We thought of making signs that say, I am a patriot who believes that Black Lives Matter. Ask me what Black Lives Matter means to me. I am a mother who is pro-choice. I am a grandparent who believes in comprehensive sex education because it makes children safer. I believe that as a firm foundation for our justice work here in this part of the world, we need to be involved in relationship building as if our future depends on it. I think that we have had a close brush with a civil war, for that was one of the scenarios that has been flying through social media. For with demonizing and without friendship, fear goes rampant, wild and strong, and makes the world a dangerous place. I think that the people who speak of war and say things like, this is the Alamo, need to talk with the people of Aleppo and Damascus, Syria, and the veterans in our community. They need to hear about the realities of war. These past years have taught us how little we know of each other. Didn't you feel that when you saw the numbers rising, when it wasn't as huge a wave as you thought it would be? There's a lot we need to learn about what others think. And I also believe that most of what we have read on social media or the internet is as sketchy as the information my fourth grade friends and I were trading at the schoolyard. We need to take responsibility for engaging in the direction that was declared yesterday. Let this grim era of demonization begin to end. Let us open a new era. For if we can in Yavapai County, everywhere is possible. If we can build on the relationships with people around us, dispel fear, spread science, stand for justice, and not say that people are stupid if they do not agree with us. Sit with them, talk about what you think. Living with disagreement, we must learn to live with disagreement and all manner of difference. We must make unexpected friendships, and I believe we can become whole. Yavapai County is a fertile ground for this work. Love will guide us. Love will guide us. Amen. And may it be so. And may we be blessed in this work ahead. Let us sing together with our choir outside in the cold, the wind blowing leaves around us. Love will guide us.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us, will lead the way on the road from free to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot see like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can hear from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us, will lead the way on the road from free to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
May we feel the joy, knowing there is work ahead of us. And it is in this moment when we understand what that work is. It will become less clear later, but now I believe it is as clear as it will ever be. Write it down, write down your dreams. Let us think about that day we might all meet together once a week, perhaps, to answer questions and ask questions on the square. We must learn new ways to preach and teach peace and justice. Let us listen to I Can See Clearly Now.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone.
Before we extinguish our chalice, I would just like everyone to wave who either voted and helped others vote. Oh, that's our light. So let's keep that light bright, and we will extinguish our chalice, but keep that light in our hearts. Thanks to all of you and the great work you've done. Thank you. We extinguish
This
this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Amen. And hallelujah.